should see the automated picture. All right, so today's presentation will finish off the essays and proofs, although in honesty, nothing finishes off the essays and proofs. I keep discovering more and more. There's material out there that I've never seen, that probably none of you have seen. Some of it is actually referred to in G1 and G2, and even pictured there, but the only place I've seen them is in the book. So at best, I think I've got a pretty good collection of this material, but there's a lot more out there, and we're going to discover more later on as well. So we're beginning today in 1953 with the musicians, the national anthem issue, and what we found here is we find die proofs of the vignettes in both colors. I thought that's kind of interesting. I noticed the vignettes are trimmed to sort of make room for what looks like a harp in the middle. Then the National Fair Airmail issue. I still see sheets of these, by the way, sold on eBay. I noticed there's a sheet of the one Quetzal available. Just a few, there are a lot of die proofs listed in G2. I've only seen a few of them. The one centavo, a die proof of the frame only, but there are a lot of frames, a lot of proofs rather. I just purchased a strip of the 50-cent bull imperf. These are not really die proofs or plate proofs. I think they're just imperf stamps that escaped from the printers. In those days, there was very poor quality control and security. So we see a lot of stamps that escaped. The Odeca issue is kind of an interesting one. There were some photographic essays that I've run across that have not been seen too often. One's a photographic essay prepared by Tipografia Nacional. It varies in design. Notice the Odeca is in a different place. It's not the same as the issued stamps. And there are many, many other varieties, other variations. And another one prepared by the Government Printing Works in Vienna. Design is totally different from the one adopted. The Odeca issue, they also issued some colored trial die proofs. These are kind of interesting because they're little sheetlets, basically. And for each of the values, the 1, the 2, and the 4, they issued 4 different color combinations in the trial proofs. And I've seen some of these. Jaime sent me some of these. I don't know what these red lines are. Did you see the red lines in the bottom of my screen?
Yes.
I have no idea what they are. And they seem to be in every slide. Hang on a second. Let me just see if I'm doing something wrong here. Where those red lines are coming from. Oh, they're on my screen. I'm going to stop and start sharing. Okay, the red lines seem to go away. I'm going to start sharing again. The red lines are not here. The red lines are gone. Okay, I don't know where they came from, an artifact of Zoom. So we see these little sheetlets. Then we have the 1955 airmail semi-postal photo essays. These came on a card. You can see the card in the upper right-hand corner. And these did not result in issued stamps. We don't know much about them. I haven't seen very much. Please mute yourself.
Michael, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm not seeing full screen now.
You're not seeing full screen.
No, I'm seeing it's not centered anymore.
Oh, right.
Things.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for telling me.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. I realized when I broke out before. Come on. When I broke out before. How's this? Thank you. Yeah. When I broke out before, that went away. Okay. So these never came to issue, but if you look at the one on the lower left, the temple at the Esquipulas, they were trying to raise funds to build the road to Esquipulas. This is a pretty amazing cathedral, and there was really no road to it. So this was a fundraiser to kind of pay for that road. Then we have one, Jesus and Globe, which is also seems to be part of that series, issued at the same time. This is very, very similar. This is another essay, but this was a perforated essay. Again, it seems to be about building that road to Esquipulas, and it shows the road where its suggested route is, going through Zapaca, Chiquimula, and Quetzaltepeque. Excuse the pronunciation. This one I've seen around a few times. I don't know if you've seen this one. For the soccer anniversary issues, these are the color trial die proofs of that issue in different colors. And the Red Cross photo essays of 1956. Here you see the regular stamps that were issued. And on the right is a photo essay. It appears that De La Rue and Company had provided this. The stamps themselves were printed by De La Rue. And it says on the back of this, photographed 3rd December 1954. So these seem to be in preparation for the Red Cross issue. Then the Liberation Airmail of 1956. This is really a beautiful essay. This is really large, 210 millimeters across by 262 millimeters high. Denomination is 1 centavo. It's inscribed Dios Patria, which means homeland God, Libertad Verdad, freedom and truth, and so forth. The essay is dated 1954, 3rd of July to 1955, just like the issued stamps. And the artist's signature is Dario H. Paz. This is just really beautiful to behold. It's really a piece of artwork. In the Liberation Airmail issue, that same issue, some die proofs were engraved by Arnaldo Chiavari, but these were not adopted after all. Chiavari continued to engrave stamps until 1971, but he stopped designing them. Okay. Again, the Liberation Airmail stamps, they had some color trial plate proofs, and extensive trials were conducted in Austria. Some were left in their original state, some were pasted to hand-numbered cards. This set of colored trial proofs is not mentioned in the literature. This might be the only set in existence. And we see this around this time period, we see the colored trials mounted onto cards. These are smaller than the issued stamps, and they're numbered. And if there are more cards, you'll find, for example, this one goes 1 to 5, then 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm sure there's another card, and here's that card with the balance of those stamps, with all different color trials. Unfortunately, it looks like the glue also attacked the stamps themselves. You can see the discolorations. Again, more of these miniature-sized proofs, smaller than the issued stamps. And this represents the full set now, up to number 24. And again, the Liberation Airmail stamps. Now what we see are full-size color trial proofs. In some cases, the colors can be fairly close. In some cases, they're quite different. Now, the Castillo Armas airmails.
Oh, so you booked them.
Alfredo, please mute. One second. Okay. The Castillo Armas airmails 1956. Here are the issued stamps. And now we have the color trial plate proofs, again, in all kinds of colors. In 1959, Guatemala issued a stamp commemorating the visit of the Honduran president and his wife. And here's a photographic essay in black and white, of course, very similar to the issue design, except for the shading, which is quite different, and the lack of the imprint at the bottom of the stamp. By the way, all of these will eventually appear in the new handbooks that ISGC is working on, this and many, many more as well. This set was ordered in 1962, again from the Austrian State Printing Works. This is the Central American Integration and American Solidarity issue, which never was issued, of course. All done in photogravure, and you can see what the designs are here. These again are on little sheetlets, and there were quite a number of them. This is a pair showing President Luis Somoza of Nicaragua. And President Veleda of Honduras and Limas of El Salvador, the Salvadoran military headquarters. A lot of these, you may have seen these, everyone knows G1 and G2 pretty well, and everything's in black and white, so you might not have seen these in color before. President Veleda of Honduras, the Costa Rican president, and the Panamanian president. And they issued a sheetlet, again, of these samples, these essays, with presidents of Mexico, Cardinal Spellman of the US, Peruvian president, and finally President Eisenhower. Then there was an overprint, the Congress of Congresses. There was a 7-line surcharge. Most of the surcharges on the Armas issue are pretty hard to read. So basically, we show the overprint in red, sort of standing alone. And it's reported that this stamp was prepared but not issued for political reasons. Only one sheet of 50 supposedly has reached private hands. So this stamp was never issued with this overprint. And the block of 4 might be the largest block in existence of this essay. Again, the Congress of Congresses, different varieties of it. This one is not reported in literature, and this 50 on 60 with the details, again, not reported in literature at all.
Last fall, I made a donation to Milwaukee Medical Mission. Are you giving money?
And here's this series.
We're just waiting.
As issued of the Red Cross semi-postals. And here are some essays and proofs. These are kind of interesting. They're easy to miss. These essays were presented to the Guatemalan postal authorities in 1958 ahead of the issuance. The authorization for printing didn't come till 1960, and that's when the set was released. But the way to tell these essays and trial printings is by the length of the imprint, Staatsdruckerei Wien, which measures 12 millimeters in the trial printings and 15 millimeters in the issued stamps. So you can easily see the difference here between the imprints, 13 millimeters versus 15. And as I say, these stamps, these essays and trial printings would be very difficult to find if you didn't know what to look for. Again, some more unissued essays. They vary in color and so forth. And these two on top, the design itself was never issued. The other ones, the designs were issued, but the colors were changed. Here again, we see the Red Cross semi-postals in different trial colors. Then we get to the Kennedy Memorial Heirs. This is the infamous series that the American Philatelic Society blacklisted because they felt that the 50 centavo version, which was printed in much smaller quantities than the rest, was a speculative stamp. And actually, the Guatemalan Stamp Federation in Guatemala complained back to the APS that no, many Guatemalan stamps on the high values were issued in limited quantities. In any case, there were some essays issued, again on these cards with penciled in numbers underneath. Very few sets of these exist. As a matter of fact, I was working on this page in G2 today, and I noted that in G2 it said, quote, something like, it has been reported, or we have seen photographs of this essay. In other words, the editors of G2 never actually saw the essay. Here they are. Not just photographs, but sort of in the flesh. And as you can see, they're numbered, and they're in two different designs. Here's one design. And now you can see the high value, the 50 centavo design. If anyone's interested, I have a spare set of the first two cards as duplicates. I don't know how I ended up with two sets, but these are pretty rare. And now, of course, one of our very, very favorites, the ISGC commemorative. I think we're one of the few stamp societies that has our own commemorative issue coming out of Guatemala. And there's actually a proof of the overprint. This is on a greenish tissue paper. I have no idea about anything other than that. I don't know how these came to be. They're in black instead of blue, but here it is. Now we have the Pan American Institute of Geography and History heirs. And the reason these two are grouped together in the presentation is because the Austrian State Printing Works made up sample booklets, and they had both in the sample booklets. Normally I'd handle these as two separate sets. But now we start to see a few interesting things here. What I'd like you to pay attention to in the bottom two stamps is the skin tone color. So just sort of memorize that for a moment, the color of the skin tone. These came in these presentation booklets tied with string from the Staatsdruckerei in Vienna. And this is a first booklet number 1. And basically, they rejected the stamps on the left because of skin color. Remember, in the issued stamps, the skin color was kind of a flesh tone. Here, the skin color is the same as the background color, kind of a pinkish and a blue. And booklet number 2, they changed the skin tone again, and they rejected it again because the skin tone color was too dark. So that's what happened there. Then the Mexico, Guatemala airmails, you see the issued stamps up on top. And these stamps, we see an essay in the lower left in the issued colors. But instead of it saying Guatemala / Mexico, I'm sorry, it says Mexico, Guatemala / Guatemala, Mexico. In the essay, it says simply Guatemala and Mexico. And different placement for the Correo Aéreo. And we see a die proof on a De La Rue card in the lower right. Again, along the same lines, we see our essay number 2. And instead of, well, if you look at the dates are in different placements. And the dates are a little different. And again, the card from De La Rue. And then we have the next value. It's our essay number 3 with similar changes and the card. And finally, here's the accepted essay and the accepted proof on card. Then we get to what I call the inexplicable essays. Essays that I have no information about whatsoever. And here's what that is. This is, it's described as l'esprit humain, the human spirit, or the spirit of humanity. There's no value. I have no idea when they were issued, who issued them, or why. So perhaps you might know that. And that is the end, the final end of the presentation on essays and proofs of Guatemala.